Now, summer has finally arrived, and with that comes a desire for beers that are brighter and refreshing. And what better drink than a crisp, thirst-quenching lager? Did you write that?
Yes, I did. This morning, a beer
like
sommelier, His Eminence, the one, the only, Dean McGuinness, has joined us with his top picks. He has been crowned since you left, so you're not allowed to make eye contact anymore.
I know about this.
And you have the genuflect.
Yeah.
His Eminence. He's got a medal in his
Dean
pocket.
McGuinness, who sends through 25 pages of notes on
We're
the three beers.
Yeah, it's the longer I'm writing the notes, the more I get to taste the beers in preparation. So.
Good morning to you, Dean. We're talking about lagers. Will you tell us what is a lager?
OK, well, there can be some confusion sometimes. A lot of people assume that golden beers are lagers and that darker beers are ales. But whether it's something as an ale or a lager comes down to the yeasts that they use in the beer. And the yeast doesn't contribute any colour, but with lagers, it gives a kind of a clean, crisp flavour from fermentation. With ales, it can give fruity flavours, spicy flavours, sometimes phenolic flavours. So with lagers, what you tend to get is the malt.
Phenolic flavour.
What's phenolic flavour?
Phenolic can be cinnamon, cough mixture, warming flavours, flavours like that. So unusual ones. Clove as well would fit in that family.
So where are we starting on the planet this morning?
So we're through to Tasmania. So this is James Bogues from Australia.
We're going down under.
If only Tommy was here, he could regale us with stories of his year in Australia.
Oh, snore.
Right.
So this is a Helles lager. So Helles lager leans more on the malty side, and the types of flavours that you get from malt tend to be sweeter flavours. So with this, you get a little bit of honeycomb, and then that's balanced out with a little bit of bitterness and enough hop character to balance it out, but it's primarily the malt that's coming through.
Oh, me
I love
likey that.
Oh, I love it. It's gorgeous.
A lot of people were tweeting in about the James Bogues.
When you're talking to people who've been travelling in Australia, a lot of the time they'll say, "Oh, I've tasted this beer, I've tasted that beer. If I had a little bit more money, I've tasted some James Bogues."
That is gorgeous.
So is this a pricier lager?
It's a premium lager in Australia, yeah. Now they go through beer studiously in Australia. So they have quite a wide range of beers, and there'll be a lot of kind of mainstream beers that they do in large volumes. But this would be considered kind of top of the premium beers.
Level. Okay.
It's gorgeous.
I think it is a lovely beer.
Lovely. It's really refreshing.
Nice and sweet too.
Yep, there's a little bit of almond nuttiness, there's honeycomb, and then the bitterness is understated, but it balances it out. If it was all sweetness, it would be too cloying and it wouldn't have that refreshing flavour. So they've just enough bitterness there to
And what sort of damage will that do to your pocket?
You're looking at $2.29 for a 375 millilitre bottle.
Not bad.
So,
Strong?
It's 5%.
It's the strongest of the three this morning, isn't it, Dean?
Yep. Well, with the second one, the Germans are quite strict when it comes to the ABVs of beers. They've got kind of defined parameters, and this is a German Pilsner. It's 4.8%. Bitburger.
Yeah, that's good, Jan. You did tell me that these are the company that sponsored the German national football team.
They do, yeah.
I wonder why they win so many World Cups.
So this is the secret potion that.
So what should we be getting here, then?
So now with the Pils style started in 1842 in the Czech Republic, and then the Germans across the border decided that it was so popular that they wanted to do a version of it themselves. So they've done what was called a German Pilsner, but because Pilsner means from the town of Pilsen, they abbreviated to German Pils.
Okay, so it's like champagne. They can't actually use the name.
There's much less on the nose there, isn't there? It's very... what's the word I'm looking for? It's not bland, but it's very...
It's on the nose now. This has been chilled down. As it warms up a little bit, what you'll get is a little bit more woodiness or maybe tobacco herbal type aromas from it. The more that the beer cools down, the less that the CO2 comes out of the beer and pushes up the aroma. So if you really want to get the aroma, you can give it a swirl.
Give it a little swirl, okay. What's the perfect temperature to serve lagers or beers at, Dean?
It depends on the person. Generally, the more that you reduce the temperature of the beer, the more the different flavours in the beer will be less perceptible.
Okay.
So, and the balance changes as you reduce the temperature. So sometimes the sweetness will go first and the bitterness will remain. With lagers, typically kind of 6 to 8 degrees. When they're bringing it down to 2 degrees, 1 degree, really what they're doing is they're providing a sensation of coldness on the tongue as a substitute for flavour.
Nice. That's a nice lager. Very nice lager. Very drinkable. Price point on that one, Dean?
$1.99 for a
$1.99.
500 millilitre.
Very good. And not as strong as the Tasmanian offering.
4.8%.
Right.
So yeah, in Ireland the standard strength is about 4.3% for mainstream beers. On the continent, around 5% is the more normal strength. So these are all kind of around what would be normal on the continent.
Now, we're closer to home with this last fella.
We are into Scotland. This is Schiehallion. So
Pardon?
I'll volunteer the name.
Schiehallion.
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 From
Gives three
Clackmannanshire.
From where?
Clackmannanshire.
Clackmannanshire. I can know it well.
So, yeah, now this is
Clackmannanshire.
a craft interpretation of the Pilsner. So what they've done is they've done a blend of Pilsen malt and wheat malt, and that, the wheat malt gives a little bit more...
It's a lot more malty.
Yep, and
You know what I mean.
then they're using Challenger hops, and Challenger hops give a citrusy flavour. So you might get pink grapefruit, lemon, lime zest, that type of aroma. And again, it's a bit cool, so the more you swirl it, you'll get
around.
more
Is
of
it
the...
sparklier than the others as well? Is there more bubbles in it?
They would, in terms of the amount of carbonation, they don't be much muchness.
Okay.
They'd be around kind of 2.5, 2.6 volumes of CO2.
That to me now it's
That's
going
stronger.
Yeah, it's going away from the traditional kind of lager taste, isn't it?
It is.
More towards an ale.
Yeah, and
Isn't it?
what they've done is they've used the types of hops that you would associate with ales.
Right.
And then they've brought it into a lager.
So it's still a lager.
It
It
is
is because of the yeast.
Because of the yeast, that's
You
it.
see?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
So they can use it, and sometimes people
You
would.
listened.
He's paying
Absolutely,
attention.
yeah.
Top marks. So yeah, sometimes people would get those kind of citrusy, grapefruity
Yeah.
aromas and think, is that a golden ale? Because
Yeah.
you could have golden ales that would have similar character to it. Now this was entered into the World Beer Awards and won Best Pilsner in the world in 2008.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Right.
So,
if we were blind taste now, I'd say that was an ale.
And a lot of people would.
Yeah. Whereas the other two
associate-
to me are definitely lagers.
And it's the
Some
most
lager
expensive, Dean.
It's $3.49 for a 500 milliliter bottle. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
for
So
500 mils,
it's
okay.
a slightly larger bottle than the Bogues.
Your Eminence, thank you. A pleasure and education as always.